Hi friends, Miss Kristi here, and I am so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make no-bake energy balls. No-bake meaning we don't use our oven or stovetop, not even the microwave. We just put a few ingredients in a bowl and roll out this perfectly poppable snack. We're gonna have so much fun making this together today, and I'm so glad you're here. Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. While I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to gather to cook along today. The ingredients you need are half a cup plus 2 tablespoons of old-fashioned oats, 1/4 cup peanut or almond butter, 1/4 cup mini chocolate chips, 3 tablespoons of real maple syrup, and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. The supplies you'll need are a mixing bowl, a plate, half a cup dry measuring cup, 1/4 cup dry measuring cup, 1 tablespoon, half a teaspoon, a spoon, and parchment paper, which is optional. Okay, great. Your hands are clean and my hands are clean. We've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started making our no-bake energy balls. All right, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is grab your mixing bowl and just set it right in front of you, because this is where we're gonna mix everything in, and then we pop it in the freezer actually for a few minutes and before we finish them, but we'll get to that. So take your bowl and set it right in front of you, and then you're gonna want your mixing spoon because we're gonna start mixing some things together. But now grab your oatmeal and your half a cup and your tablespoon, okay? So I have my oatmeal here. I have my 1/2 cup, which is 1/2, and then I have my tablespoon, because we need a half a cup plus 2 tablespoons. So take your oatmeal and your 1/2 cup, and we need a half a cup right in the bowl, okay? And then we need 2 tablespoons. So you're gonna grab the TSPB and you're gonna do 2 of those right in the bowl. 1 and 2. And then you can set your oatmeal to the side because we are done with that. Now you're going to grab your peanut butter or almond butter. When we talked about the ingredients, it was an option. You could even use sun butter too. I actually have almond butter today, just some type of butter, sunflower, almond, peanut. It's gonna give it a little bit of protein. It's gonna kind of hold everything together. So again, I'm using almond butter today. You could use peanut butter or sunflower butter. And your 1/4 cup, so it's gonna say 1/4. And then you can kind of just take your spoon, however you wanna get it in here. Yours is probably in like a container. Mine's just in a bowl. But you're just gonna wanna scoop in 1/4 of a cup. That's all we need. Just kind of gotta fill it up here. And like I said, this is what gives it its glue to kind of hold everything together. And then it also gives you a bit of protein, which is gonna help keep you full when you snack on these. All right, so I have 1/4 a cup. And now I'm just gonna dump this right into the bowl. And use my little spoon here to scrape it out. And I'm actually gonna hold on to my 1/4 cup here that we're using to measure because we're gonna use it for our mini chocolate chips next. All right, so I've got my spoon here. You can set your peanut butter or your almond butter to the side because we're done with that. And now you need your mini chocolate chips. And we need 1/4 of a cup. So using the same one, it's still gonna have, peanut butter or whatever you used inside there in it, which is fine, but you're just going to measure 1/4 cup. I'm kind of gonna pour mine out. And if you get a little bit more, that's okay. Who doesn't love a lot of chocolate? All right. I'm gonna set those to the side. And then, since I already had peanut butter in there, almond butter, it's kind of sticking. So I'm just gonna use my spoon and scrape it out a little bit to get every little tiny mini chocolate chip. I use mini chocolate chips because if you use the regular size, sometimes when we're rolling these into little balls, they're just a little bit too big. So I find that the mini chocolate chips work great. However, if you don't have mini chocolate chips and you just have regular sized, go for it. It's not gonna change really the recipe much. So you can set your 1/4 cup to the side because we are done with that. And same with the chocolate chips, you can put them to the side. We now need 3 tablespoons of real maple syrup. Usually when we make our snacks and we use maple syrup, it's the real kind. It just helps, it has a bigger flavor, a better flavor. So grab your 1 tablespoon, the one that says 1 TBSP. We used it for the oatmeal. And we're gonna do 3 of these. 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. So I'm just gonna pour it in right over our ingredients. We have 1, 2, and 3. So 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. And then you can set your tablespoon to the side because we are done using that. And you can put your maple syrup to the side. Now the last ingredients before we mix all this together is vanilla extract. So you're gonna grab your vanilla extract and your 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, so teaspoon is gonna say 1/2 TSP. And your vanilla extract is probably in a bottle. Mine's in a little bowl just to make it easier for you to see. But you just need a 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm gonna scoop out or pour out a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just kind of pour it over top. And then you can set all that to the side because we are done with our ingredients. So it's just a few ingredients all into a bowl. Like I said, this is no bake, so we're not having to put it in the oven or anything. And we're just now going to use our same spoon and mix it all together. The biggest thing when mixing these is you want to make sure that the peanut butter or almond butter gets all over the oatmeal because that's what's gonna hold this together once we take it out of the freezer. And if your hands are clean, like they should be because we washed them at the beginning, and you kind of get stuck on your spoon, you can just scrape it off, get it down in the bowl. And again, I'm just giving this a good mix. We want to make sure that the maple syrup and the vanilla extract is all over the chocolate chips and the oatmeal. And that looks pretty good. Just gonna kind of scrape my bowl down a little bit because you want it all kind of in a nice little layer at the bottom. And then I'm just gonna take it off my spoon because I want every bit of it to end up as my snack. Perfect. All right, so the next step is going to be to put this bowl in your freezer for 10 minutes. That way, when we start to roll them out, it's actually a little bit easier. It doesn't fall apart as easily. So this is an important step, and it just needs 10 minutes in the freezer. So what I'm gonna do is, got a little timer here. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Okay, and then put them in the freezer. As soon as the timer goes off, I'll take it out, and then we'll talk about the next steps. All right, friends, so it has been 10 minutes and I just took our mixture out of the freezer, and now we get to roll it into these little balls. So the next thing you're gonna do is grab your plate and set it next to you. And this is where you can use parchment paper if you want. Again, it's optional. I just like to have it so that it doesn't stick to the plate. Definitely not necessary. But grab your spoon or your 1 tablespoon, either one. So you can use the mixing spoon that we were using or your 1 tablespoon. And this is what we're gonna use to scoop out our mixture and roll it into little balls. I like to use the tablespoon because then they kind of all end up the same size. This should make about 12 little balls. So all you're gonna do from here is take a scoop and gently roll it into a ball in between 2 hands. And then you're just gonna set it on your plate that's next to you. And then we're gonna do a few more. So we're actually gonna roll about 6 of them and then stop and rinse our hands and roll the remaining 6, because when you get too much mixture on your hands, they kind of start to fall apart. So that's why I'm gonna do about 6 and give my hands a quick rinse, and then I'll do the other 6. But you don't wanna push too hard. You're just kind of rolling them into these little balls, and because I'm using the tablespoon, they're ending up about the same size, which is good. And if you push too hard and you flatten it and you squish it, that's okay. Just stick it back in the bowl and try again. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you can kind of see like my hands are getting a little bit sticky, so it's not as easy to roll. But I'm gonna try to get one more out of here. And then, but you can see like as you're getting too sticky, they're hard to roll. Which is why I'm gonna pause a second now that I have 6 and rinse my hands. And then we'll just roll out the remaining 6. And this is it. This is the whole recipe. So I talked about it being no bake. We didn't have to cook anything. We just had to put it in a bowl, pop it in the freezer, and now we get to roll out this little snack. All right, so now I'm just gonna do the remaining 6 here. Again, don't press too hard as you're rolling them, or else they'll squish out, and you just kind of want to gently roll them together. And depending on how much you scoop out at a time, you might get 12 balls like I have, or you could get a little bit less. You could get more, obviously, if you roll them out and they're smaller than that, but on average, you're gonna get about 12 of these. So it's a perfect snack, and it's actually able to be refrigerated for quite a bit. So you can refrigerate this in a container with a lid for up to 2 weeks. And that way, if you don't eat them all at once, you've got a little great snack to have in your fridge for the next time you just need to like pop one in your mouth, run out the door. Maybe it's like an after school snack. And when you keep them in the refrigerator, they actually hold together a little bit better because it's cold. So if you don't eat them all right away, definitely put them in a container with a lid and then put them in the refrigerator. All right, so this is the last one. Get all of my ingredients out. And because my hands are super sticky, this one's gonna be the hardest to roll. I might have to get my hands wet one more time. Let's see if we can get it. Nope. Okay. So there we have it. We have just made our no-bake energy balls. All right, I'm gonna set this to the side. I'm actually gonna rinse my hands real quick, just because they're super sticky. But there we go. So like I said, mine actually did make 12 perfectly rolled out little poppable snack here. And like I mentioned when we were rolling them out, if you don't eat them all at once, grab a container with a lid, put them in there, and then they can stay in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. And it's gonna give you, this snack's gonna give you a little bit of energy from the oatmeal and from your almond butter or your peanut butter. It's gonna keep you a little bit full. I do hope you try and make them, or try and make them again. Like I always say, when you do, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment, let me know if you have any questions. You can even send me a picture of how your snack turned out, and maybe we'll get to share it on next week's episode. Now, speaking of next week, on next week's episode, which is episode 22, we're learning how to make homemade frosting. A few weeks ago, we learned how to make homemade sugar cookies, so I thought it would be fun to learn how to make frosting right at home. In order to cook along and make the homemade frosting next week, these are the ingredients that you'll need to have in your kitchen. 3/4 cup of powdered sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of softened butter, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1.5 teaspoons of milk. Well, friends, our time together today is almost over. I do hope you've enjoyed learning how to make our no-bake energy balls. I know I had fun, and I already can't wait to cook together again next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. You just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss next week's episode. It'll be out on Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye, friends.